What's up, YouTube? I'm Cole Krugel, audio engineer and producer, and welcome to Cut to the Chase Cole, where we get straight to the point. This is a video about how to get a perfect reverb every time. First and foremost, you're going to want to make sure you're using an aux track for your reverb. The purpose of doing a reverb from an aux track, as opposed to putting the plugin directly on the audio track, is to be able to independently affect the reverb without affecting the dry signal. This allows for a more customizable blend between the two. Just make sure your reverb is set to 100% wet on the plugin that's on your aux track, because we're going to be blending 100% wet and 100% dry signal together. Now, what I believe to be the most important aspect to achieving a great reverb sound is getting the timing right. The reverb time, or RT60, is the length of time taken for a sound to decay from 60 dB from its original level. It's usually represented by a value in milliseconds. Finding reverb times that work well within the context of your mix are related to the tempo of the song. Right here it's 86, like I'm circling. These times can be found by using a simple calculation, 60,000 divided by the tempo. The value of that calculation will spit out a numerical value in milliseconds that represents the duration of a quarter note. For an eighth note, you can divide that number by 2. For a half note, you can multiply the number by 2. For quicker or slower notes, continue to divide or multiply by 2. All right, so now we're gonna work this out a little bit just so I can show you an example. So put on my calculator. So I'm gonna do 60,000 divided by the tempo, which is 86. And that gives me this value right here. We're gonna round to the nearest number. So we got 6.976, yada, yada, yada. So we're gonna round to the nearest, third point. So we're gonna do 6.98. And look, if you don't like doing math, that's cool. There's plugins that can help you, like H delay. So if you have it set to host in that quarter note, like I do now, and switch to milliseconds, as you notice, these two numbers are identical. Next aspect of timing is the pre-delay. Depending upon the value you have set, the pre-delay will tell the reverb to start at that chosen value, preceding the original sound. This allows the original sound to breathe a little bit, allowing it to cut through before the reverb is triggered. This slight separation of the dry signal from the reverb gives each sound more of its own space to occupy without getting in the way of one another. Good pre-delay times can be found by dividing or multiplying your desired RT60 by 2. Make sure to try out different values and do what sounds best for you. I personally tend to go for the next quickest note relative to my RT60 choice. For example, if my RT60 is a quarter note, I tend to want my pre-delay to be an eighth note. Now, I don't always do this, but this is kind of where I start, and then I kind of feel it out from there depending upon how to, what the track dictates.
Oh, mother of freedom, you're one of many voices of reason.
All right, so now let's test out some reverb times and pre-delays. This RT60 that I have right now, for the quarter note that I already entered, is a bit long to me. So I want to shorten it up. And so I'm going to divide by 2 and see how that sounds. So I'm entering 3.49, which is the eighth note value.
Oh, mother of freedom, you're one of many voices of reason. You had to fight so many demons.
And as you can tell,
you earned a place in the
this
kingdom.
sounds much better. It's a lot more concise and tight, so I'm rocking with it.
See.
Now I'm gonna find my pre-delay time. So I'm gonna open up my calculator again. The eighth note's already in there from last time, so I'm gonna divide that by 2, and it gives me this. So I'm gonna do 17.44. All right, so I'm gonna play this now so you can hear how it sounds.
Oh, mother of freedom, you're one of many voices of reason. You had to fight so many demons. Yeah,
now, as you can tell, the dry
kingdom.
vocal and the reverb had a little bit more separation from one another. Like the dry vocal's cutting through and the reverb's coming in slightly after it. So it's kind of keeping it out of the way, but still giving us that proper atmospheric sound that we're going for. EQing and filtering are also nice ways to get your reverb to sit tightly in your mix once timing and simple balance have been established. Now, some reverbs have built-in filters like this Valhalla Vintage Verb does. I tend to utilize this before any additional EQ just to keep things simple. So I'm about to play this and just mess around with these filters to the extreme just to see what they're doing, and then I'm going to zero it in on what I think sounds
so
good.
many demons.
So the verb's a little muddy to me, so that's why I'm playing with this high pass or low cut.
Don't dim your light, let the world
so this sounds good to me. Just get a little of the mud out so it's not so washy down there.
Ain't no color,
and
no
just take a little bit of the high end out. I don't want to take too much because I want that sheen still, but it can be a little bit harsh, so I just want the verb to be contained, you know what I mean? If I want to get a little more intricate, I'll follow my reverb with an EQ insert afterwards to enhance frequencies I like and cut frequencies I don't like. So pulled up this fab filter right here that follows my verb on that same aux. And I'm just going to play around with it a little bit, see what I want to add. Kind of like this right here, kind of makes it sound a little bigger. And I'm gonna do mid-side and choose the side option because I want my boost to feel like they're wrapping around the vocal while also leaving the middle open a little bit for the dry vocal to not lose its own space. You know what I mean? Alright, so I'm gonna get rid of a little bit of this wonkiness too. I'm gonna go back to just a typical stereo cue point just because I want it applied across the whole thing.
There ain't no color or no reserved seats.
You can also use compression to control reverb just like any other sound to attenuate unwanted peaks or bring the reverb up front and in your face if desired. So I pulled up this R comp and I already kind of had my setting dialed in, so I'm just going to bypass it so you can hear how it sounds without it.
You're one of many voices of reason. You had to fight so many demons. Yeah, you earned a place in the kingdom. Don't dim your light, let the world see.
You know, A being the difference between those two, it's a lot, but it's not a lot at the same time. And that's kind of the point of it to me. I like where the reverb sat without that compression, but I felt like it needed to be pushed to the forefront a little bit to like have that tail just kind of like simmer through the blank spaces of the vocal. Sidechain compression is also a cool technique to use. This will trigger the reverb compression to only occur when the dry signal is present and let go when it's not. This can create lush tails while taming spikes that create a mess around the vocal. All right, so I'm gonna set this key input to, an available one, and then I'm going to send to that same input from the vocal track. So 52 to key input 52. So I got to send this signal to the compression. This is a bit much right now. So I'm going to back off to send how much signal I'm sending it to.
Yeah, you earned a place
just so it just hits it and kisses it ever so lightly, you know what I mean?
Let the world see. There ain't no color or no reserved seats. Oh, mother of freedom. You're one of many voices of reason. You had to fight so many demons. Yeah, you earned a place in the kingdom. Don't dim.
So as you can see, this sidechain compression applied to the reverb is super cool because it only reacts as much as you need it to. And if you could see, the compressor wouldn't even react in sometimes because it didn't need to. So based upon how much signal you send to it and the threshold and the ratio, the compression is going to react according to how much the reverb needs to be tamed based upon how the vocal reacts. Now, last but not least, I can throw stereo imager on the reverb just to create a wider feel if I want to. I tend to use the S1 at the end of my chain, just kind of play with the stereo imaging spread until it feels right. I don't always do it, but sometimes I want it to sound wider and, it just works, so f it. This is how to get a perfect reverb. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to leave topic suggestions in the comments for more content geared towards you.